If you could start by telling me a little bit about your business
Yeah.
and why it exists, who it's for.
My name is Charite. I'm the owner, CEO, founder of the Destiny and Light Hair and Makeup Group. But why my company exists is to provide on-location hair and makeup services to brides, and we're expanding that to also include a new salon. Another part of the why that our business exists is to really create opportunities for the ladies in our team to basically have economic empowerment, so they can basically create some stability and income to provide for their families.
All right. So why did you start the business? You're a fellow 09er to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
can you tell me a little bit about why you started? Was that the vision you had on day one, or
You
has it?
know, so the business started as a hobby. So my wife started doing hair and makeup as a hobby, like just a weekend thing. And this was when we were just dating. She started doing it as a weekend thing. And, I kind of encouraged her to kind of like move this weekend thing into a full-time thing because I saw the potential of it. And so she took the challenge, and, I believe it was in 2008, 2009, she left her job at the Salvation Army, went into full-time doing Destiny and Light. And then about 2 weeks later, I got fired into my destiny. And I came in doing, I was already doing sales and marketing part-time, but I came in full-time doing sales and marketing. When I looked at the numbers, I was like, dude, I can do this, right? Because I was working at Fifth Third Bank at the time, and I was one of the top salespeople at the bank, like all the time. And so I looked at it, I was like, dude, I'll just put what I did at the bank right into my wife, and we'll blow this thing up. And that's exactly what I did. I told her to focus on the talent, recruiting people, because I'm about to blow it up. And, I'm just going to focus on the numbers, sales, marketing, and I'll take care of all of that. So we both got into our respective roles, where she was the talent and she managed the team, and I just stayed focused on getting the accounts.
I find it really interesting knowing you and knowing the work you do with other entrepreneurs, and also your passion and drive for helping others.
Yeah.
That I really find it interesting that your first step into entrepreneurship was actually pushing someone else to reach their full potential.
Yeah.
I really find that interesting, actually, knowing your journey. So now, going on to that tangent, tell me a little bit about you and what made you like, okay, you got fired into the situation because of the 2009 events and so on.
Yeah.
But what made you go, no, I'm not going to go look for another job in another bank. I'm actually going to build this. Was it opportunity driven, or did you always know that kind of you were going to build a business at some point?
I always felt that I was going to build a business at some point. I didn't know what it was going to be, to be completely honest. I did not know that I would be a guy in a predominantly women-driven business operating the way that I'm operating. I did not know that at all. Like, that was like the furthest thing from my mindset. But, I think the drive was, when you get fired for something that you believe that, for sure that you didn't do, it's a feeling that hurts. And then it's like, I don't want to have to do that again. Like, I don't want to have to go through that, like, because it just makes you feel like you were never valued. So I guess my thought when I, looked at the information and I looked at and said, you know what, hey, we can do this. It was really the success and failure at that point would be on me. Right. And I think that, being able to help the bank succeed and create, policies and best practices and new ways of selling at the bank on the bank level, that just said, hey, if you can do it for the bank and help the bank grow its revenue, and, help your region to do X, Y, Z, help your branch to do X, Y, Z, then, you could possibly just do this on your own. And then I guess the other motivation was that my mother was the first entrepreneur that I knew. And I always knew that I was, I have this saying where I say, I'm my mother's son and my father's pride, right?
All right.
I act just like my mama, right? What I'm saying? My dad's just thankful that he's, I'm his son. You feel me? But no, but I've always felt like I was always going to be an entrepreneur, right? I've always felt that. And you remember, I'm not sure if you remember at AFA, my first business was actually selling CDs. Like,
I
yeah,
remember.
that was my first business. That was my first dip into entrepreneurship back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Selling CDs. I didn't own a computer. I didn't own anything.
So you had
But
to be resourceful, right?
I was extremely resourceful because, you know, you can't live on $15 a week. I'm just saying.
We'll keep this a secret. That might be a public secret, but my first business was selling plaster of Paris figurines to tourists. I knew that I was about 9 actually at the time. I quickly figured out that they would pay me because they thought, this cute little kid, 9 years old, is trying to hustle, right?
Right.
And they'd buy it, they'd give me a few bucks or whatever, and then they'd throw it away. So I cleaned up the trash can and started picking them up and reselling the same thing. Right. I realized I didn't have to do production, so that was a bit cheeky of me, I think. But yeah, all right. So trying to drill down. So part of it is that it's kind of in your nurture, right? The way you got raised, being around it. So part of it is influence, right? You saw your mom and you're like, hey, this feels natural. I'd like to be like this. I'm inspired by this. The other was opportunity. You saw an opportunity in your wife and in what she was doing, and you were like, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to do it. And then there's the other element of you, which is, and I know this because I know you, there's that servant leader element to you. You serve through leadership. You help other people. Can you touch on that just a little? That's kind of your thing. How does that tie into your entrepreneurial journey? We see it in what you did with your wife, where you're like, hey, you can do more than this being a hobby. Mm-hmm. Is that a drive for you, working through people?
I think, serving people automatically allows you to get to your goal, right? And I think it allows you to get to your goal the right way, because it's not about you. It's not, it's not a self-centered thing. I feel because in my nature, I've always been that helpful person. So I think if the focus is on, what Brown needs to do for Brown and not what Brown needs to do for people, then I would be hurting a lot of people, right? But when I look at it from the capacity of a rising tide floats all boats, if I can get my people to where they need to get to, then I automatically get to where I need to get to.
Gotcha. All right. I'm going to hit you with one of the questions I hit everybody else with.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got a time machine. It's not a really great one, I'm sorry, but it's reliable for about 30 seconds to a minute, and you can only interact with yourself. If you could go back in time, when would you go back to, and what piece of advice would you give yourself?
I probably would go back to my high school self and tell myself, hey, start focusing on business like right now.
All right. You would be amazed how many entrepreneurs give that same one. Like similar, with their own tangents, right?
Yeah.
But I found the pattern in that. All right. And here's another one. For someone that is starting a business or thinking of starting a business, what piece of advice would you give them? Maybe something to watch out for, or mindset, or what would be your piece of advice if your best friend told you, I've got a business idea, I'm going to get started on it?
It doesn't take money to make money. It doesn't take money to make money. I think a lot of entrepreneurs that I run into, their hang up is always, man, if I had this, if I had that, then I coulda, shoulda, woulda. But it doesn't take money to make money. It takes vision to get money to make money.